Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the massive screens that showed space around Earth. Her hands gripped the metal rail so hard her knuckles turned white. In front of her ship, floating in the black void, were more enemy vessels than she had ever seen in one place. 300 alien warships hung in perfect formation like deadly stars against the darkness. Each one was twice the size of Earth's biggest battleship. Their hulls gleamed with a strange purple metal that seemed to absorb light. Weapons ports along their sides glowed with contained energy that could tear through any human ship in seconds. "Admiral," said Commander Williams, her second in command. His voice was steady, but she could hear the fear underneath. "Final count is confirmed. 312 hegemony vessels. We have 47 ships ready for battle." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. 47 ships against more than 300. The math was simple and terrible. This wasn't going to be a battle. It was going to be a slaughter. The Zephyrian hegemony had ruled most of the galaxy for 1,000 years. They demanded that every species bow to their empire or face destruction. 3 months ago, Earth's leaders had sent their answer. Humanity would never kneel to anyone. Sarah had been proud of that choice then. Now, watching death approach in the form of an alien armada, she wondered if pride was worth the lives of every person on Earth. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen," she said into her communications device. Her voice carried to every human vessel in the defense fleet. "Today we fight not just for Earth, but for the right of humanity to choose its own path among the stars. Whatever happens, we face it together." The alien fleet began to move. Their ships spread out like the fingers of a giant hand, surrounding Earth's orbital defenses. The lead vessel was massive, easily 10 times bigger than any human ship. Its communication signal came through speakers across the bridge. "Humans of Earth." The voice was cold and mechanical, translated by their computers. "I am Commander Vex Thule of the Hegemony Third Fleet. Your leaders have rejected our generous offer to join our empire. This is your final chance to surrender before we claim your world by force." Sarah picked up the communication device. "This is Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. We gave you our answer 3 months ago." "It hasn't changed." There was a pause. Then Vex Thule's voice came back, filled with what sounded like amusement. "So be it. Your species will serve as an example to others who think they can defy the hegemony." The first attack came without warning. Beams of purple energy lanced out from a dozen alien ships. The UES Defiant, one of humanity's newest destroyers, took 3 direct hits. Sarah watched in horror as the ship's shields failed instantly. The hull began to glow red-hot, then white-hot, then simply melted away. 43,000 people died in less than 5 seconds. "All ships open fire," Sarah shouted. The human fleet responded with everything they had. Missiles streaked through space toward the alien vessels. Plasma cannons fired bolts of superheated gas. Nuclear warheads detonated against enemy shields in brilliant flashes of light and destruction. The aliens absorbed it all without even slowing down. Their shields flickered slightly under the assault, then stabilized. It was like throwing rocks at a mountain. "Admiral!" Lieutenant Park at the sensor station called out. "The UES Courage is breaking apart. The Roosevelt is losing power. We're losing them faster than we can count." Another human ship exploded, this time close enough that debris rattled against their hull. Sarah watched good people die and felt helpless. Every tactical manual said the same thing. When outnumbered this badly, retreat and live to fight another day. But there was nowhere to retreat to. Behind them was Earth, with 8 billion people who had nowhere to run. "Keep firing," she ordered. "Make them pay for every ship." The battle raged for 20 minutes that felt like 20 hours. Human vessels darted between the massive alien ships like small fish attacking whales. They used their speed and smaller size to avoid the worst of the enemy fire, but it wasn't enough. For every alien ship they managed to damage, humanity lost 3 or 4 vessels. Commander Williams appeared at her side. "Admiral, we're down to 31 ships. At this rate, we'll be wiped out in another hour." Sarah nodded grimly. She had known this moment would come. "Prepare the orbital defense platforms. When we're gone, they'll be Earth's last line of defense." The massive weapon platforms that orbited Earth opened fire. Their heavy cannons were designed to stop invasion fleets exactly like this one. For a moment, Sarah felt a spark of hope as she watched the platform's heavy weapons tear into the alien formation. 2 enemy ships actually exploded under the concentrated fire. But the hegemony fleet adjusted quickly. They focused their return fire on the platforms. One by one, humanity's last fixed defenses died in balls of fire and twisted metal. Each explosion took hundreds more lives with it. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park said suddenly, "I'm getting a strange reading on long-range sensors." "What kind of reading?" Sarah asked, not taking her eyes off the battle. "Unknown contact bearing 27 Mark 6. It's moving fast, very fast, and the energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." Sarah turned to look at the sensor display. A single dot was moving toward their position from the edge of the solar system. The reading showed it was moving faster than anything she had ever seen, and the energy output was enormous. Could it be another hegemony ship? Commander Williams asked. "No, sir," Park replied. "The signature is completely different." "And it's alone?" Sarah stared at the screen. One ship against the massive alien fleet wouldn't make any difference, but at least humanity wouldn't die alone. "Open a channel to the unknown vessel." "Channel open, Admiral." "Unknown ship, this is Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. We are under attack by hostile forces. State your intentions." Static filled the speakers. No response came. The mystery ship continued to approach while the battle raged around Earth. Another human destroyer exploded under alien fire. The enemy fleet began to move closer to Earth itself, preparing for the final assault on the planet's surface. "How long until the unknown ship reaches us?" Sarah asked. "At current speed, 18 minutes, Park replied. 18 minutes. Sarah looked at her tactical display. In 18 minutes, there might not be any human ships left to greet their mysterious visitor. The hegemony fleet was already moving into position to begin bombing Earth cities. "All remaining ships," she broadcast. "We need to buy time. Whatever that unknown ship is, it might be our only hope. Fight for every second." The surviving human vessels threw themselves into the battle with desperate courage. They knew they were going to die. But they also knew that every minute they delayed, the enemy might save. "Lives on Earth below, Captain." Rodriguez of the UES Resilience rammed his damaged ship into an alien cruiser rather than let it get closer to Earth. The explosion lit up space like a new star. Other ships followed his example, turning themselves into weapons when their guns could no longer fire. Sarah watched her fleet die ship by ship, but she also watched the unknown contact grow larger on her sensors. Whatever it was, it would arrive soon. She only hoped some of her people would still be alive to see it. The alien fleet pressed closer to Earth. In the distance, she could see the lights of the space stations where millions of people waited to learn their fate. Behind those stations, the blue and white marble of humanity's homeworld turned slowly in space, beautiful and fragile. "Unknown ship," she tried again. "Please respond." "We need help." Still no answer. But the ship kept coming, racing toward what might be the last battle humanity would ever fight. The unknown ship raced through space toward the battle, moving faster than anything either the humans or aliens had ever seen. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Vex Thule watched the approaching vessel with growing confusion. "Science Officer Krell," he called to his subordinate. "What can you tell me about this new arrival?" The alien bent over his instruments, his forearms working quickly across multiple control panels. "Commander, the readings are impossible. The ship's energy output is higher than our entire fleet combined. Its hull design matches no known species in our database." Vex Thule's eyes narrowed. The hegemony had detailed records of every spacefaring race in the galaxy. They had conquered or enslaved all of them over the past 1,000 years. There should be no unknown ships, no mysterious vessels appearing from nowhere. "Could it be a human ship using some kind of disguise?" he asked. "Negative, Commander. Human technology is primitive compared to this. Their most advanced ships barely register on our sensors. This vessel..." Krell paused, checking his readings again. "This vessel is more advanced than anything we have ever encountered." On the screens around the bridge, the battle continued to rage. Human ships darted desperately between the hegemony vessels, firing their simple weapons and trying to stay alive for just a few more minutes. They were brave, Vex Thule had to admit. Stupid but brave. Another human destroyer exploded under concentrated fire from 3 hegemony cruisers. The wreckage tumbled through space, pieces of hull still glowing from the heat of the weapons that had destroyed it. Only 26 human ships remained now, and most of those were badly damaged. "Commander," his communications officer reported, "the humans are trying to contact the unknown vessel, but it is not responding to their signals. Try to contact it ourselves," Vex Thule ordered. "I want to know who dares to interfere in hegemony business." The communications officer worked at his station for several minutes, then shook his head. "No response, Commander. The ship appears to be ignoring all attempts at communication. Vex Thule studied the tactical display. The unknown ship would reach the battle zone in less than 10 minutes. Whatever it was, whatever it wanted, he could not allow it to interfere with his mission. Earth would fall today, and humanity would serve as an example to any other species that thought they could defy the hegemony. "Detach Squadron 7, he commanded. "Have them intercept the unknown vessel. If it will not identify itself, destroy it." 12 hegemony warships broke away from the main fleet and moved to intercept the mystery ship. They formed a battle line across its path, weapons charging and ready to fire. Squadron leader Temvar opened communications to the approaching vessel. "Unknown ship, you are entering a restricted combat zone. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed." The black ship did not slow down. It did not change course. It simply continued its approach as if the hegemony vessels were not even there. "Fire warning shots," Temvar ordered. Purple energy beams lanced out from the hegemony ships, designed to pass just in front of the unknown vessel's path. It was a standard warning that no spacefaring species could misunderstand. The black ship passed through the energy beams without any reaction at all. The warning shots that should have forced any reasonable captain to stop and communicate had no effect whatsoever. "All ships open fire," Temvar commanded. "Destroy the intruder." 12 hegemony warships unleashed their full firepower at the approaching vessel. Energy beams that could melt through the thickest armor. Plasma torpedoes that could crack a moon. Particle cannons that could tear apart the molecular structure of any known material, all struck the black ship at the same time. When the brilliant flashes faded, the unknown vessel continued on its course completely undamaged. There was not even a scorch mark on its strange dark hull. "Impossible," Temvar whispered. The black ship reached the hegemony squadron and simply passed through them. It did not dodge or weave between the warships. It moved in a perfectly straight line, and somehow the massive alien vessels just moved out of its way, without their crews commanding them to do so. "Squadron 7, Vex Thule called over the communication system. "Report your status." There was no answer. "Squadron 7, respond immediately." Still nothing. On the tactical display, Vex Thule watched in horror as all 12 ships of Squadron 7 simply stopped moving. Their engines went dark. Their weapons powered down. Their communication systems went silent. In the space of a few seconds, 12 of his most powerful warships had become floating pieces of dead metal. "What happened to them?" Vex Thule demanded. Science Officer Krell frantically checked his instruments. "Commander, I am reading no explosions, no hull breaches, no signs of battle damage. The ships appear to be intact, but all their systems have shut down. Life support, weapons, engines, everything is offline. How is that possible?" "I do not know, Commander. It is as if something simply turned off all their technology." The black ship continued toward the main battle, leaving the disabled hegemony vessels drifting helplessly in space. Vex Thule felt something he had not experienced in decades of conquest. Fear. In the human fleet, Admiral Chen watched the same events unfold on her tactical display. The unknown ship had somehow disabled 12 alien warships without firing a shot, without even slowing down. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park called out, "the alien ships aren't destroyed. They're just dead. All their systems have shut down, but the hulls are intact." "How is that possible?" Commander Williams asked. "I don't know," Sarah replied. "But whatever that ship is doing, it's the first thing that's hurt the aliens since this battle started." The black ship finally came into visual range of the main fleets. When it appeared on the screen, the entire bridge of the UES Defiance fell silent. The vessel was unlike anything any of them had ever seen. It was huge, easily as large as the biggest hegemony battleship, but its design was completely alien to both human and hegemony technology. The hull was made of some kind of black material that seemed to bend light around it. There were no visible weapons, no communication arrays, no engine ports. It looked more like a piece of living darkness than a spacecraft. "Try to contact it again," Sarah ordered. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. Please respond." For the first time since it had appeared, the black ship showed some reaction. It changed course slightly, moving to position itself behind the remaining human ships. It took up a protective formation as if it intended to defend them, but it still did not respond to any communication attempts. "Admiral," Park reported, "the alien fleet is pulling back. They're moving away from us." Sarah looked at the tactical display. The hegemony ships were indeed retreating to a safer distance, clearly unwilling to get too close to the mysterious vessel that had disabled an entire squadron without firing a shot. "This is our chance," she said. "All ships regroup behind the unknown vessel. Use this time to repair what damage you can." The surviving human ships moved gratefully into the protection of the black ship's shadow. For the first time since the battle began, they were not under constant fire from superior forces. But Sarah knew this was only a temporary pause. Whatever the unknown ship was, whatever it could do, Commander Vex Thule would not give up easily. The hegemony had not conquered most of the galaxy by backing down from fights. She was right. Even as the human ships began emergency repairs, the alien fleet was regrouping as well. Vex Thule was planning something, and Sarah was certain it would not be pleasant. The black ship hung in space between the two fleets, silent and mysterious. Its mere presence had changed the entire course of the battle, but no one knew what it would do next. The only certainty was that the real fight was just beginning. Commander Vex Thule stared at the tactical display, his mind racing as he tried to understand what he was facing. The unknown black ship hung in space between his fleet and the humans, as motionless as a piece of ancient stone. But he had seen what it could do. 12 of his best warships were now floating dead in space. "Commander," Science Officer Krell spoke quietly, "our disabled ships still show life signs. The crews are alive, but they have no power, no communications, no way to restart their systems. How long until we can recover them?" "Unknown, sir. We have never encountered anything like this before. Our best engineers are studying the problem, but they have no idea how to restore power to ships that have been turned off." Vex Thule felt anger building inside him. The hegemony did not retreat. They did not run from unknown threats. For 1,000 years they had been the dominant force in the galaxy, because they met every challenge with overwhelming force. "Signal the fleet," he commanded. "All ships are to maintain maximum distance from the unknown vessel. We will surround it and attack from all sides at once. Even if it can disable our ships, it cannot reach all of us simultaneously." The hegemony fleet began to move. Over 200 warships spread out in a vast circle around Earth, their weapons trained on the mysterious black ship. If they all fired at once from different directions, surely something would get through. Admiral Chen watched the alien fleet movements with growing worry. "They're surrounding us," she told Commander Williams. "Whatever plan they have, it's not going to be good for us." The unknown ship remained perfectly still as the aliens completed their encirclement. It showed no sign of concern about being outnumbered 200 to 1. If anything, it seemed to be waiting patiently for them to finish their preparations. "All human ships," Sarah broadcast, "stay close to our mysterious friend. I have a feeling we're about to see what it can really do." Vex Thule checked the positions of his fleet one final time. Every ship was in position, weapons charged and ready. The humans and their strange protector were completely surrounded with nowhere to run. "All ships," he commanded, "open fire. Full bombardment. I want that unknown vessel turned to dust." More than 200 hegemony warships fired at the same time. The space around Earth lit up like a new sun as energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and particle cannons all converged on the black ship. The amount of firepower would have been enough to destroy a small moon. When the brilliant light faded, the black ship was completely unharmed. Not only had it survived the massive attack, but there was not even a mark on its strange hull. It was as if the most powerful weapons in the galaxy had simply passed through it without effect. But now, for the first time since it had appeared, the unknown vessel began to move. It did not move like other spaceships. Normal vessels had to accelerate, had to build up speed gradually. The black ship simply appeared in a different location, as if it had stepped from one point in space to another without crossing the distance in between. One moment it was behind the human fleet. The next moment it was next to a hegemony cruiser on the far side of the battle zone. The alien ship immediately went dark, just like the others before it. The black ship vanished again and reappeared next to another enemy vessel. This one also lost all power instantly. Then it was somewhere else, and another hegemony ship became a dead hulk floating in space. "How is it moving like that?" Commander Williams asked in amazement. "I don't know," Sarah replied. "It's like it can teleport from place to place." Lieutenant Park was studying his sensor readings with wide eyes. "Admiral, the ship isn't actually moving through space. I don't know how to explain this. It's like it's stepping outside of normal space and then stepping back in wherever it wants to be." The unknown ship continued its impossible dance through the hegemony fleet. Every few seconds it would appear next to another alien vessel, disable it instantly, then vanish to strike somewhere else. The enemy ships tried to track it with their weapons, but how do you aim at something that can appear anywhere without warning? All ships! Vexthul screamed into his communicator. Concentrate fire on the humans. If we cannot destroy their protector, we will destroy them. Half the remaining hegemony fleet turned their weapons toward the human ships, but before they could fire, the black ship appeared directly in front of them. Instead of disabling just one vessel, this time something different happened. A wave of invisible energy spread out from the unknown ship like ripples on a pond. Every hegemony vessel it touched simply stopped working. Engines died, weapons powered down, life support systems shut off. In a matter of seconds, 40 alien warships became floating tombs. The crews were still alive, but their ships were as dead as ancient rocks. Admiral, Park reported with excitement in his voice. Whatever that wave was, it only affected the alien ships. Our vessels are completely unharmed. Sarah stared at the tactical display in amazement. In less than 10 minutes, the mysterious ship had disabled nearly a third of the hegemony fleet. The aliens who had seemed so powerful, so unstoppable, were running from a single unknown vessel. The black ship continued its attack, appearing and disappearing throughout the enemy formation. Sometimes it disabled one ship at a time. Sometimes it released another wave that shut down dozens at once. But always it left the human vessels completely untouched. Vexthul watched his mighty fleet being torn apart by an enemy he could not understand or fight. Science officer, how is it doing this to us? Krell checked his instruments frantically. Commander, I believe it is using some kind of technology suppression field. It can somehow turn off our equipment without damaging it. Our ships are not destroyed, they are simply shut down. But how? What kind of technology could do such a thing? I do not know, Commander. Nothing in our database suggests this is possible. Whoever built that ship has science far beyond anything the hegemony has ever encountered. More ships went dark as the black vessel continued its relentless assault. The hegemony fleet tried everything they could think of. They fired spreads of weapons to catch the ship when it appeared. They used sensor jamming to try to confuse it. They even tried ramming attacks, sending ships directly at the unknown vessel. Nothing worked. The black ship avoided every attack effortlessly, and every enemy vessel that got too close simply stopped working. Captain Rodriguez, commanding one of the few remaining human ships, opened a communication channel to Admiral Chen. Admiral, our mysterious friend is tearing them apart. I've never seen anything like it. Neither have I, Captain, Sarah replied. But whatever this ship is, wherever it came from, it's saving our lives. As she spoke, another wave of energy spread out from the black ship. This one was larger than the others, washing over more than 60 hegemony vessels at once. All of them went dark immediately. Vexthul looked at his tactical display with growing despair. He had started the battle with over 300 ships. Now less than 100 remained operational, and those were retreating as fast as they could to stay away from the terrifying unknown vessel. Commander, his navigation officer reported, request permission to withdraw. We cannot fight an enemy we cannot hurt. For a moment, Vexthul considered the request. The smart thing would be to retreat, to report back to Hegemony Command and let them decide how to deal with this new threat. But he had not become a fleet commander by being smart. He had earned his position through ruthless aggression and an unwillingness to accept defeat. No, he said firmly, we will not retreat. Signal all remaining ships. If we cannot destroy the unknown vessel, we will destroy Earth itself. Full planetary bombardment. Turn their world into glass. The surviving hegemony ships turned away from the black ship and aimed their weapons at the blue planet below. If they could not win this battle, they would at least complete their mission to destroy humanity. But the unknown ship had other plans. The black ship stopped moving as soon as the hegemony fleet turned their weapons toward Earth. For the first time since it had appeared, the mysterious vessel seemed to pause, as if it was considering what to do next. Admiral Chen watched her tactical display with growing horror as the alien ships prepared to bombard her homeworld. All ships move to intercept. We cannot let them reach Earth. But even as the human vessels raced to put themselves between the enemy and the planet, Sarah knew it was hopeless. There were still nearly 100 hegemony ships, and only 23 human vessels remained. They could not stop that many enemies from destroying the cities below. Commander Vexthul smiled grimly as he watched the humans scramble to protect their world. Pathetic, he said to his bridge crew. They know they cannot stop us, but they try anyway. Their courage is admirable if foolish. Commander, Science Officer Krell reported. The unknown vessel has stopped moving. It appears to be waiting. Waiting for what? Unknown, sir. But its energy readings are changing. Power levels are increasing rapidly. Vexthul looked at the sensor display. The readings from the black ship were climbing higher and higher, far beyond anything they had seen before. What is it doing? Before Krell could answer, the unknown ship began to change. Its smooth, dark hull started to flow like liquid, reshaping itself into something new. Sections of the vessel opened up to reveal chambers that glowed with soft white light. The ship was no longer just a piece of dark metal floating in space. It was becoming something alive. Admiral, Lieutenant Park called out in amazement. The unknown ship is transmitting, but not on any normal frequency. The signal is going directly to our computers, bypassing all our communication systems. Put it on screen, Sarah ordered. The main display flickered, then filled with words that appeared to write themselves across the screen. But these were not just words. Somehow the message carried meaning directly into their minds so that every person reading it understood perfectly, regardless of what language they spoke. We are the architects. We have been watching. The bridge fell silent as everyone stared at the message. Then more words appeared. Your species was planted here long ago. You are our children grown beyond our expectations. Planted here? Commander Williams whispered. What does that mean? Before anyone could answer, more information began flowing through their computers. Star charts appeared showing the galaxy as it truly was, with worlds and civilizations marked in ways human science had never imagined. Technical specifications flashed by that made their most advanced technology look like stone tools. But most shocking of all was a map of Earth itself, marked with coordinates that the computer translated as Origin Point Sequence 7. Admiral, Park said in a shaking voice. According to this data, humanity didn't evolve naturally on Earth. We were placed here by whoever is in that ship. Sarah stared at the information flowing across her screens. It was impossible to believe, but the data was too detailed, too complete to be false. Are you saying we're not actually from Earth? You are from Earth. But Earth was chosen for you. Your ancestors were scattered across the galaxy when we departed. Only you survived to grow strong. Commander Vexthul was seeing the same information on his own screens, and his reaction was very different from the humans. Impossible, he shouted. The humans are a primitive species. They have barely achieved spaceflight. But even as he spoke, more data flowed through the hegemony computers. Information about human history that no alien should know. Details about human genetics that revealed connections to technologies far beyond anything the hegemony had ever discovered. The hegemony has ruled this galaxy for 1,000 years. We have been gone for 10,000. It is time to return. Science Officer Krell looked up from his instruments with terror in his eyes. Commander, if this data is accurate, the humans are not just another species. They are the descendants of the beings who ruled the galaxy before the hegemony even existed. The black ship continued to change, more sections opening to reveal weapon systems that looked nothing like conventional technology. Instead of gun, barrels or missile tubes, strange crystalline structures emerged that seemed to bend space around them. You have chosen to fight rather than surrender. This pleases us. Your courage proves you are ready for what comes next. Ready for what? Sarah asked out loud, though she did not expect an answer. The answer came anyway, flowing directly into her mind rather than through the communication system. To reclaim your birthright among the stars. The first weapon fired from the black ship, and Commander Vexthul learned what true power looked like. The crystalline device did not shoot energy beams or missiles. Instead, it did something far worse. The hegemony cruiser Conquest simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, a massive warship bristling with weapons. The next moment, There was only empty space where it had been. The ship had not exploded. It had not been destroyed. It had been erased from reality itself. "Evasive maneuvers!" Vex Thule screamed. "All ships, scatter!" But the hegemony vessels could not escape what was happening to them. The black ship's weapons continued to fire, and each shot removed another enemy vessel from existence. Not destroyed, not disabled, but completely removed from the universe as if it had never been built. "Science officer," Vex Thule demanded, "what kind of weapons are those?" Krell was frantically working at his station, but his instruments could not explain what they were seeing. "Commander, I believe they are manipulating reality itself. The ships are not being destroyed. They are being uncreated." More hegemony vessels vanished as the black ship continued its attack. The aliens tried to return fire, but their weapons simply passed through empty space where their target had been a moment before. The unknown vessel could step outside of normal space at will, making it impossible to hit. Within minutes, half of the remaining hegemony fleet had been erased from existence. The survivors were fleeing in panic, but even retreat could not save them. The black ship appeared next to fleeing vessels and deleted them, one by one. "Admiral," Chen watched in amazement as the enemy fleet that had seemed so powerful was systematically eliminated. "I don't understand," she said. "If these architects are so powerful, why didn't they help us before now?" The answer appeared on her screen immediately. "We have been watching your development. Intervention was forbidden until you proved your worth. Your choice to fight against overwhelming odds has shown us that you are ready." "Ready for what?" Commander Williams asked. "To inherit the technology and responsibilities that come with your true heritage." More information flowed through the human computers. Blueprints for technologies that could reshape matter at the atomic level. Designs for ships that could travel between galaxies in moments. Knowledge that would transform human civilization beyond recognition. But with the knowledge came warnings. Other species in the galaxy would fear humanity once they learned the truth. Wars would come, and Earth's children would have to be ready to fight them. Vex Thule's flagship was one of the last surviving hegemony ships. As he watched his fleet being erased ship by ship, he realized that his species had made a terrible mistake. They had not come to conquer a primitive world. They had awakened something far more dangerous than they could imagine. "Send a message to Hegemony Command," he ordered. "Tell them that humanity is not what they appear to be. Tell them that the old powers have returned." "Commander," his communications officer replied, "what should I tell them about our fleet?" Vex Thule looked at his tactical display. Only 12 hegemony ships remained, and the black ship was moving toward them with deadly purpose. "Tell them we are all dead," he said quietly. The last of the hegemony fleet vanished into nothingness, erased by weapons that treated the laws of physics as mere suggestions. In the space of an hour, the most powerful invasion force in galactic history had been completely eliminated by a single unknown vessel. The black ship turned toward Earth, and Admiral Chen wondered what would happen next. The space around Earth was suddenly quiet. Where hundreds of alien warships had threatened humanity's homeworld, now there was only empty space filled with drifting debris and the occasional flash of light from damaged human vessels making repairs. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, staring at the massive black ship that had saved them all. The mysterious vessel hung motionless in space, its strange hull reflecting the light of Earth's sun in ways that hurt to look at directly. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park reported, "the architect ship is moving toward us." Sarah watched as the unknown vessel approached slowly, its movements graceful and purposeful. As it drew closer, she could see more details of its impossible design. The hull seemed to be made of some kind of living metal that shifted and flowed like water, but maintained its shape perfectly. "All stations, remain at alert," she commanded. "We don't know what they want." A new message appeared on their screens, the words writing themselves across the display with that same direct mental impact that made everyone understand perfectly. "Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet, we wish to speak with your leaders." Sarah took a deep breath. She had always known this moment might come, when humanity would have to speak for itself to powers beyond their understanding. She had just never imagined it would happen like this. "I am authorized to speak for Earth's government," she replied, hoping the architects could hear her. What do you want to discuss? Send a small vessel. We will provide coordinates for docking. Bring those who make decisions for your species. Sarah looked at Commander Williams. Get me a direct line to Earth Command. Tell them we need the President, the UN Secretary General, and anyone else who can make decisions for the human race up here immediately. Admiral, Williams said quietly. Are you sure that's wise? We don't know what these beings really want. They just saved us from total destruction, Sarah replied. If they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it already. Besides, they say we're their children. I think we need to hear what they have to say. 2 hours later, a small diplomatic shuttle approached the coordinates provided by the architect ship. President Maria Santos, UN Secretary General David Kim, and Admiral Chen were aboard, along with a small team of advisors and translators, though it seemed the architects had no need for human languages. As their shuttle drew close to the black ship, a section of its hull simply opened like a flower blooming. There was no airlock, no docking tube, just an opening that led into the vessel's interior. Somehow the shuttle was gently pulled inside by forces that their pilots could not understand or control. The corridors inside the architect ship were unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The walls glowed with soft, warm light that seemed to come from the material itself. The passages were clearly designed for beings roughly human-sized. But the architecture was flowing and organic, more like the inside of a living creature than a mechanical vessel. They were led through the ship by invisible guides, their feet carrying them forward without any conscious decision on their part. President Santos tried to speak, but found that her voice would not work inside the vessel. Somehow they all understood that speech was not necessary here. The room they were brought to was vast and circular, with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside as if the walls were made of clear glass. In the center of the room, something waited for them. It was not exactly a being in any sense they could understand. It looked like a column of shifting light and energy that sometimes took on shapes that were almost familiar. Sometimes it looked human, sometimes it looked like something else entirely. When it spoke, the words formed directly in their minds. Welcome, children of Earth. We have waited long to speak with you. President Santos found that she could think her response, and somehow the entity would understand. You said we are your children. What does that mean exactly? The being shifted, its form becoming more solid and human-like. Your species was seeded on Earth 10 million years ago. We took the best of our civilization and planted it in your genetic code, then departed to explore beyond this galaxy. But why? Secretary General Kim asked. Why create us and then leave? Because we had learned that civilizations grow strongest when they develop independently. We left monitoring systems to watch your progress, with instructions to contact us only if you were threatened with extinction. Admiral Chen understood. The hegemony invasion triggered your return. Yes, you chose to fight rather than surrender. You proved that you have inherited our strength and courage. You are ready to reclaim your place among the stars. The entity gestured and the room around them changed. The walls became transparent, showing them visions of the galaxy as it truly was. Thousands of civilizations, hundreds of different species, all connected by trade routes and communication networks that spanned incredible distances. The hegemony has ruled this region for 1,000 years. They conquered or enslaved every species they encountered, but they were never the rightful rulers. They simply filled the void we left behind. And now, President Santos asked, now you will take their place not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy needs protectors who understand that true strength comes from protecting the weak, not dominating them. The architect showed them more visions, fleets of human ships, but not the primitive vessels they knew. These were craft that could reshape reality, that could travel instantly between stars, that could defend entire systems from any threat. We offer you a choice. Return to Earth and live in safety under our protection, or accept the knowledge and responsibility that comes with your true heritage. Admiral Chen stepped forward. What kind of responsibility? The galaxy is vast and dangerous. There are threats beyond the hegemony, enemies that even we struggled to defeat. If you choose to inherit our legacy, you will face challenges that will test everything you are. But we won't face them alone, Secretary General Kim said. You'll be with us. The entity's form shimmered, becoming less solid. No. We have spent too long away from physical existence. We have become something else. Something that cannot remain in this dimension much longer. The future belongs to you now. President Santos looked at her companions, then back at the architect. Our people will need time to discuss this. It's not a decision we can make lightly. Time you have, but know this. The hegemony survivors will carry word of what happened here to their leaders. Fear of humanity will spread across the galaxy. Whether you choose to accept our gift or not, your species will never again be able to hide on one small world. The room began to fade around them, and they found themselves back in their shuttle. But something had changed. In the shuttle's computer banks, new information was stored. Technical specifications for technologies beyond human imagination. Star charts showing the locations of friendly civilizations and hostile threats. Most importantly, the genetic codes that would unlock humanity's true potential. As they returned to the human fleet, the architect ship began to change once more. Its solid form became translucent, then transparent, then simply faded away like morning mist. The beings who had created humanity were returning to whatever dimension they now called home, but they had left behind a gift that would change everything. Admiral, Chen watched the last traces of the architect ship disappear, then turned to look at Earth floating peacefully in space below them. The blue and white marble looked the same as always, but she knew that everything had changed. Humanity had learned the truth about their origins. They had been offered godlike power and the responsibility that came with it. Most importantly, they had proven themselves worthy of both. In the depths of space, automated monitoring stations that had waited for millions of years began transmitting signals to distant galaxies. The message was simple but profound. The children of Earth had awakened, and they were ready to take their place among the stars. The age of the hegemony was over. The age of humanity had begun, and across the galaxy, ancient enemies and potential allies alike began preparing for the return of Earth's children to the cosmic stage where they truly belonged.